If you want large fruit and tomato plants that are bending under the weight of the harvest, one step is absolutely mandatory: pruning. In tomato pruning, I pay the most attention to suckers. These are the shoots that grow on the axil between the main stem and the side branches. If they are small, I remove them by pinching them off. If they are larger, I cut them with pruners. If they are neglected and not removed regularly, they can take over. They drain energy from the fruit, and the plant grows into a wide bush. This is something we definitely don't want. Therefore, removing them on a weekly basis is advisable. And now for an old gardener's trick. When you remove these larger suckers, never throw them away. You can get completely new, advanced tomato plants from them in just 2 weeks. You know, it happens that you run out of seedlings, so this will come in handy. Or maybe you have extra space in the garden where you can plant more tomatoes. Here is how I got more seedlings. I poured tap water into a plastic bag. Then I place the tomato cutting inside. To secure it, I use zip ties. I repeat this process with as many cuttings as I need. We will set the tomato cuttings in the bags of water in a suitable spot. It is best to place them in the shade, where there is enough light but not direct sunlight. You only need to wait 2 weeks. We come back to see how our plants look, and then magic. The tomato plants have progressed. They seem to have grown, and some have even bloomed. But most importantly, the tomato cuttings have rooted. I notice that there is almost no water left in the bags. Only a little water remains. The plants drank the water and rooted. I cut the zip ties and take the tomato clones out of the bags. They will be identical to the parent plant from which they were taken. Look at how beautifully the root has developed in just 2 weeks. We have obtained advanced tomato plants with thick stems and a strong root system. Now we will transplant the tomato clones into the soil. I have prepared as many containers as I have tomato plants. I fill the containers with a high-quality potting mix. It is soft and loose. Then I place the plants and add more soil. One must be careful not to damage the roots. Once the tomato plants are planted, heavy watering follows. Once they adapt to the soil, in a few days, we can transplant them outdoors. The next step in pruning is removing the lower leaves. This is a measure that literally saves your tomatoes from disease. Why do we do it? The first reason is prevention. Almost all tomato diseases, such as blight, start from the soil. When you water or it rains, water droplets splash the soil and carry fungal spores to the lowest leaves. The second reason is airflow. By stripping the lower part of the stem, we allow the wind to dry the plant out. We also allow the sun to ripen the first fruits faster. Usually, we start removing lower leaves once the plants reach a certain size, when the first fruit truss is formed. But you can start removing lower leaves earlier if you notice discoloration or the first signs of disease. Never remove leaves above a fruit that is still growing, as they provide it with food. How is it done? The rule is, remove a maximum of 2 to 3 leaves per week so that the plant does not go into shock. Cut the leaves with sharp, disinfected pruners right next to the stem, but be careful not to damage the main stem itself. This pruning is best done in the morning on a sunny and dry day. This way, the wounds on the stem will dry out and seal quickly before the evening dew falls. By doing this, we close the door to all diseases. At the very end of the season, when the tomato is already full of fruit, one radical but necessary measure is applied: cutting off the top of the plant, which is technically called topping. Why do we do it? The tomato is a plant that would theoretically grow and bloom indefinitely. However, toward the end of summer, new flowers and small fruits at the top have no chance of ripening. They only waste energy and nutrients. By cutting off the top, we forcibly stop the plant's upward growth. We redirect all the strength and sap into the existing green fruits so that they can successfully ripen and become large and sweet. When is it done? This measure is performed approximately 30 to 45 days before the expected first autumn frosts, usually at the end of August or early September. The rule is simple. Use pruners to cut off the main top of the plant. Leave 2 leaves above the last set flower or fruit so that they serve as a pump for nutrients. With proper pruning, your tomatoes will have large fruit, a strong root system, and will be maximally protected from disease. But all our effort is in vain if we allow the worst summer pests to destroy our fruit. Of course, I'm talking about stink bugs. If you notice those small, light spots on the tomato fruit, those are them. Don't know how to stop them? I have the solution in the next video that you see on your screen right now.